Hi, I'm Ems, aka On Dark and Wings. In this video, I will be giving you a brief overview of one of my absolute favourite miniature painting books, Figopedia. Please do like, comment and subscribe, it all helps my small channel grow and gives me the motivation to keep making these videos. Figopedia is by the artist Jeremy Bonamont-Telebo. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Anyway, he is a miniature painting artist, but also an artist in general, doing canvas and other types of works. He's been painting stuff for about 25 years plus now, even more so since the book was released. This book did come out a couple of years ago, and I've had this for a little while myself. This is the first book he's published of this series. There hasn't been any follow-ups or any plans since, however I hope there is. Anyway, this one starts off with colour and light theory, which I think is the fundamentals of miniature painting. There is an introduction about the artist himself, and then we kick off with light and shadows. The book is about 120 pages long, however it's chock full of information and examples. The start of it talks about the different types of lighting with miniatures. So there's general lighting, that's like the heavy metal style, or the style a lot of people would do, where the whole of the model's lit in a very similar fashion. And then it talks about zenithal highlighting and lighting, which you've probably heard of. And then there's parts about secondary and multiple source lighting, so that would be like OSL, so like lighting from a candle or a lamp, such. He talks about volumes, which is a really important principle when it comes to lighting and highlighting miniatures, because all shapes react to light differently, how it bounces off them. One thing I really appreciate with this is that there are practical examples, but there's also examples when it comes to miniatures as well. There is also a mix and match of the shapes within the miniatures, so it breaks it down into its fundamental parts, so you understand how lighting works more in a practical 3D setting. I think there is a really good balance between the text, so the theory behind it, and also the practicality with the photographs. Too many times I've found information about miniature painting and I feel like there isn't enough examples, or the text doesn't explain things enough for me. This part about highlighting and the shadows when it comes to cloth and clothes and things is really useful. I found it really practical and I learned quite a lot from this, as I think lighting clothing and stuff can be quite tricky because there's a lot of different folds and things like that on them. Personally, I think the book lacks a bit when it comes to talking about reflections in lighting, such as non-metallic metal. It's also quite brief when it's talking about OSL, so original source lighting. If you were lighting something from like a lamp or something like that, it doesn't go into much detail about that. Although I do think there is a wealth of information and it's really condensed and it's chock full of stuff considering it's only 120 pages. There are a lot of great things in here I haven't seen mentioned much in other materials like this, so talking about how to put paint on your brush and deposit the most pigments when you're glazing, so to get the most impact on light. And there's just loads of really cool stuff in here, such as taking a photograph and putting it in black and white and then putting the exposure up so you can see the miniature in a more practical sense when it comes to lighting and shadows, if you were going to use it as an example. And he also briefly talks about it in terms of classical art and canvas art and other artwork as well, on more 2D scale and how that applies to miniatures. I'm moving on, so the second section is about colour theory. There's a great introduction to colour. It talks about colour in the sense of how it evokes different emotions and different storytelling, such as how we associate red with violence and green with nature and so on, and how you can use that depending on the miniature you're painting and what colours would work best. Then we move on to the theory side, so looking at the scientific things behind colours. So we look at the hue, which is the different colours, the lightness, so the shadows and the highlights, and then the saturation, so how intense or how desaturated a colour is. Again, there's some really great examples in this section and some ideas in which you can take away and practice yourself. There is a really great section about colour wheels, and it goes beyond the general colour wheel and theory, which you'd probably know. And then the next section is really good. This is about warm and cold colours, what they are, and how they complement each other. There are a bunch of pictures, information, and examples once again, and miniatures as well to look at. And there's this really great section as well where it talks about warm and cold colours and contrasting colours and how you can use them to highlight and desaturate and create something interesting and unique. I was really blown away by this book when I first got it, and it really gave me a better understanding of miniature painting and why things work. This is also one of a really important sections, which is talking about neutral colours. So you don't want to use too many overwhelming strong colours on a model, and this talks about how greys and browns and putting contrasting colours together can create these cool neutral tones, which can help balance out the model. This book really changed the way I look at miniature painting. I already knew about art theory, but having that theory and then adding more to it and then understanding how that works more in a practical sense when it comes to miniature painting was really important for me. So this goes into some more complicated ideas, so using warm and cool colours, and it's just such a cool book to look through and get inspired by and understand more about miniature painting. And then this is a great last section here talking about painting black and white. So this book has been a massive game changer for me. It taught me loads a couple of years ago, and my understanding grew a lot. I already knew some about art theory, but that takes it beyond it and gives it more context and practicality in terms of miniature painting. And in the very, very last section, it talks about monochrome colours, so just using a very limited palette. So this book is very useful for me, but will it be useful for you? I think it's a great book to have. It retails for around about €35, and you can only get it from a specific website, which I'll put in the link in the description below. Otherwise, have a look around. There might be one on eBay cheaper. I know that the things within this book you could probably find elsewhere and perhaps even on the internet for free. But it's super handy to have it condensed into one book, which you can pick up and read instead of having to search all around the internet. There are other works out there which are really good as well, such as this one about colour and light theory, and it's worth having a look at this one as well if you want to get better at painting. However, like I said, again, this one has a lot of great examples and is more in the context of miniature painting. I personally think this is better than a lot of the other books out there. I own this one as well, which I do want to talk about in another video, called Figure Painting Techniques. But this is 500 pages long, and there's a lot of information in this. And the Figopedia one is only 120 pages and condenses a lot of useful information. And to be honest, I think I got a lot more out of the Figopedia one. And this is much better than the Angel Giraldi and all the other artist ones, in my opinion, if you want to learn more about why things work in colour and lighting and in a sense and context when it comes to miniatures. You'll learn absolutely loads if you get this. This is a fantastic starting off point, or even if you've been miniature painting for a long time, it'll take you out of that mindset of just following a tutorial online. Miniature painters definitely use the standard Games Workshop way as a bit of a crutch, and using the washes and then just adding some highlights, whereas this will take you beyond that and give you the tools and skills and understanding. And once you have that foundation of understanding, you can move on and do other things and look at miniature painting more in terms of art. Thank you for watching and listening to me waffle on about this book. If you would like to support my channel, you can donate or join my Patreon in the description below. Otherwise, please share this video. As always, remember to enjoy your hobbies for yourself. Respect that people enjoy them in their own ways. And at the end of the day, they're just war dollies. I'll see you in the next one.